What's up, guys? Welcome back to Will of DDT. My name's Anonymous. I'm joined here by Bia and Irrelevant, and we are here today to discuss the absolute bomb that Bandai dropped on us last night. The ban list is getting lifted, and way more than we thought it was.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, no, this is crazy right here. So, in like what, late October, early November, Bandai, issued this like 1 month ban where they just banned Nami, Dedan, the 5-drop Marco, and
Right.
the 9-drop Newgate. And they were like, in a week later, they're like, okay, guys, in December, you're getting this back. So we knew those were coming back. What we did not see coming back, at the bottom of this picture here, we got the Rad Beam and the 9-drop coming back to 4. That
And the
is
Marco.
and the Marco, the 4-cost Marco. That's crazy.
Bro.
That's crazy. Ace players are celebrating right now. I know, Irrelevant, you're very happy about this.
Anonymous, cut us loose, man. Like we got shit to say, man. Just cut us loose. This ban list lift is just unreal. I don't know what they were thinking.
For real.
I can tell you what they were thinking because I had my tinfoil hat on the whole time. I have the text to prove it, and I said, "Hey, everything's going back to normal." And
Real talk. Giving everybody context, Irrelevant called it. We all called him a madman. We made fun of him. We laughed at him. We scoffed at him.
For real.
I personally would like to apologize to you, Irrelevant.
I'm gonna congratulate him on those 4 Marcos he bought while they
bought
were cheap.
the alt art Marcos at 18 apiece, and they have jumped to 50.
Nice.
God bless you. God
Sniped.
bless you.
So,
No, but like all jokes aside, like clearly they're just trying to standardize the meta for like all the regions for Worlds. So they're just they're trying to level the playing field. I just didn't expect it this early.
I think so. I think we can sort of speak on that, right? So. Yes, the world thing is a big reason that they want to just standardize the deck. But at the same time, if you're looking, and I'm actually going to refer to the GOAT himself, Eggman. So
Eggman.
Let's just really quickly go through. I think this is just like one of the tournaments, like the Hiroshima tournament that happened.
Okay.
And I think if we go back a little more, we'll go back. I just want to spend a little bit of time just like TLDRing this video that Eggman posted.
Sure.
This is the Japanese OP5 meta.
Okay.
You have Sakazuki, Katakuri, Luffy, and Enel. Sort of Enel. And then you have everything else, right? Like Sakazuki and Katakuri account for 50%, more than 50% of the play rate. So this already is a top heavy meta, and Japan doesn't have any bans.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yes, they don't really play red. That's there. So that's the play rate, and if we go on to the win percentages, this is
where I think it's really interesting. I mean,
So,
red-green law being at the top there is wild to me because I played that yesterday against, one of our friends at the channel, Nashax, is always going to FedEx and printing out new set cards before they come out, and he printed out on paper his little Sakazuki deck, and man, it was hard. I tried with my red-green law deck. Granted, my hand wasn't the best, but still, like, I went second. I did everything I wanted to do, and I could not win that matchup. So I'm surprised to see it that high up there.
But to be fair,
like, you got to look at the data, right? Like it's lower
very,
representation.
very low.
So the people that are playing it are like the top law players, right?
Sure.
So I mean, not to say that you're not, right? But
no, I hear you. No, it's very low. Like, you don't know what their matchups look like necessarily, but that's still crazy.
But the reason I wanted to bring this up in the first place was not because of law.
Yeah.
The second line that you see here, 56%, that is Whitebeard.
Yeah.
Go back here, Whitebeard, relatively low compared to other things, but pretty much the highest win rate deck in the whole game. And the West, we love our Whitebeard.
Yeah.
We love our Whitebeard, and I am expecting this lovely gentleman's face to be probably like Enel or Luffy's level.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good prediction, I think, for the West.
I like that. That's a good point. Like, what does this mean for us, right? Like this.
Right.
This is the Japanese pie chart, right? What do our pie charts look like? And Whitebeard has been such a comfortable pick for everyone. Like, all these new decks are going to be crazy. Like everyone, Sakazuki. Like, we're going to get into our tier list. We just had to talk about this. This is actually supposed to be our tier list video, and it will be, but we had to hit this. And
Had to.
no matter what, like, do people, especially, going into major competitive events, we're in Nat season, right? Are people going to waste time picking up new good decks, or just keep playing what has been working for the last 6 months?
Comfort
right?
zone, yeah, for real.
So
I can see that for sure.
Before we move on, this I also wanted to. It's a quick breakdown of like the top, like finalists, right, of these tournaments. So all these columns are tournaments, and in the latest tournament that we just saw, we saw a huge representation. If you see, there was 9 Sakazukis, 6 purple Luffys. If you don't include the Zoro, there are only 2 decks in the finals.
Bonk.
That's wild.
That is such a crazy stat, and I think it's gonna be a little bit different, but still, when we move on to this tier list, the theme is this is a top-heavy tier list. If you are not playing one of the best decks in the game, in that high tier, you're gonna have a very bad time in the competitive aspect. So I think Anonymous, we're gonna move over. If you want to sort of like give us a little bit of an overview, of what's going on.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys have all heard the news. I mean, that like we just discussed it. These cards that have been banned for a long time, which is the reason Whitebeard players finally had to kind of like wean off of that deck. They're now back. So in light of that, and of course in light of the way that benefits just red leaders in general, we wanted to discuss what our predictions for the Western, OP5 meta is going to be looking like. So we just kind of pre-populated the lower tiers here. We're not really going to talk much about these. Maybe a few of them we'll give some notes on in like the B tier. But yeah, I mean, really what Irrelevant said is going to ring true. I mean, the S tier is going to be dominating every competitive event. And if you want a chance against the S tier decks, you probably got to be playing an A tier deck. It's going to be very hard to win any of your matches if you're playing B or lower. So yeah, let's start filling out that A tier. Irrelevant. What do you think is our pick for the lowest of A?
Yeah, I think. Should we just give the Golden Boy his due and throw him on?
Yeah.
Let's just get it. Let's get it. Let's put everything else is revolved around Whitebeard now.
Yeah, sure. He just got off the ban list.
He just got off. Let's just welcome him back. If you asked me before, because I've been playing a lot of Whitebeard on the sim for OP5, I'm not gonna lie, he struggled. He struggled a lot before this ban list because you usually ran the Strawbeard version. And this meta is a meta of blockers. Outside of unblockable Luffy, he just has no way, and he doesn't have any removal. Like, he doesn't run any removal, right?
Right.
He just bulldozes. He usually just bulldozes his way to a win.
Exactly.
But these decks have so much protection now, and they themselves are able to play strong cards. I don't know if you've noticed, but like a deck like Purple Luffy is comprised of all 6k attackers.
Yeah.
Dang.
So he struggled, but now with Marco, Radical Beam, Ninebeard, he goes back to that Juggernaut. He has that protection built in, and he has more importantly, he has a time to be able to bulldoze through.
Right.
So I got a question for you guys, like from a deck building perspective. Is now pure Whitebeard better than Strawbeard, right? Because
I 100% think so. You run 4 copies of Newgate 9-drop, you run 4 copies of Marco, you run Ezo and build your deck around that.
100%. 100%.
Are we running 4 rad beams and 4 guard points?
Yeah, 100%. You run 4 and 4. Easy. You don't even need to run any 2-cost events anymore.
No Red Hawk necessary.
You don't even need to run those anymore.
No. Yeah. Red Hawk was just like the ugly stand-in child.
For real.
Trying to get a shot.
Like, if you the audience, if you guys want, we can do like, I don't think we've done this on the channel. Let's just open the sim, play a couple games of Whitebeard.
Yeah.
I think that's an idea if that's something we want to see. But like, I think after these ban lists, there's a reason he was the second highest win rate, right, in that tournament that we saw. So I think he's gonna be really good, and I absolutely would not be surprised if he ends up here.
Agreed.
Yep. Yeah.
Purely just based, like, again, it's law of averages, right? Like, I'm expecting to see just a lot of people playing it. A few of them have got to get through to the top, right? Which is just going to pseudo-validate him being in the top spot.
Yeah. Yeah, but you also don't just accidentally get there, right? Like the deck actually has to be good. So yeah, 100%.
You don't get grandfathered in.
Yeah, he's got to be A. And like Irrelevant said, I can very easily see him creeping into the bottom of S. Yeah, I mean, while we're here, let's. I think both the laws are going to be in A as well, based on what we've seen. So yeah, red purple law.
Yeah, go ahead. This is
I'll talk about it a little bit. I mean, so red purple law, in my experience, again, still kind of a hard matchup into some of the S tier decks, but like this deck is kind of it's sort of what does what Irrelevant was describing earlier about just bulldozing its way to a win. It does have removal, but you're negging your hand like crazy. So unlike Whitebeard, who doesn't have removal, but has a big hand size, red purple law is kind of the opposite. You're getting removal, you're getting a lot of bodies on board. You're just constantly swinging 5k, 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 5k at life, but you have no hand size at all. He just can't really make it to a grind game, but that like kind of strategy of just sheer quantity of swings can actually overwhelm some of the best decks in the game. Like, I can even get wins against Sakazuki in this. It just kind of depends on how they're drawing. Yeah, I mean, it's surprisingly effective for what it does, and like good players will be able to get some wins with this for sure. And then red green law, this has been my goat since set one. He still does what he wants to do. I think he's an amazing pick against literally every other leader in the game except for Sakazuki. Especially if Sakazuki goes second. I mean, that Lucci is going to be really tough on you. Like a brand new into a Lucci means that they just deleted your first 2 turns. It's very hard to compete against that full board requirement for law. Kind of tough, but against every other deck, very solid pick.
I think Sakazuki is like the counter to law, right? Because there's so many removal effects that count on your opponent's cards being
low cost.
And like Sakazuki doesn't even have to work to do that. They're already low cost.
Yeah. Right. No, that's true. And honestly, I don't think I think it's single-handedly because of Lucci. If he didn't have, because if he removes one thing a turn, like Law is ready for that to some extent. You can flood the board with a lot of 1-cost and shambles, but the fact that he can play a 4-cost that kills 2 of your units is huge. So he has early game answers, and then late game all of your 5-costs. That's just a blank swing with Sakazuki minus the 5 to 4. And then play a 7-cost Borsellino, bottom deck that 4-cost. Like, it's his early game is Lucci, his late game is Borsellino, and just with those two and his events, like, he's gonna overwhelm you. Like, but again, like Bio, you and I were talking about this earlier. Sakazuki, there's literally no leader that likes going into him. There's not a single leader that can comfortably beat that deck. And like, so using Sakazuki as the litmus test for whether or not a deck is good is kind of a moot point. Like,
yeah, there's a reason he looks like this.
Yeah, we can see his whole face in the pie chart. That used to be Newgate.
That used to be Newgate.
Yeah.
But I know we're hyping him up to be like this boogeyman of a deck, but honestly, like he really is going to be that. I mean, like people are like, oh, wait, see. But like just the way that deck is constructed, I don't think this is another Rebecca, right? Like Rebecca was just like the most overhyped thing on the face of the planet.
Big fraud.
Big fraud. But I just don't think Sakazuki is that.
There's no way. I mean, he's dominating in OP6. Like, dominating. Yeah. But we'll get there when we get there. But I think next up we had in the A tier, we had Zoro.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you have Whitebeard, you have Zoro. Is any competitive list complete without these guys?
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think we can, like, shit, he's Zoro.
Yeah, exactly. He's just going to do Zoro things, man. He's got his removal back in the form of the Marcos, the Fire Fist, and he has all the radical beams now to keep him alive. This deck is just going to be scary, doing exactly what it's been doing for the last 3 sets.
That's the thing. I think it's scary in the sense that, like, it's no longer S tier.
Sure.
He just keeps doing what he wants to be doing, and what he was doing before was already just so good, right?
Yeah, it's just an effective strategy, man. I mean, your searchers are also your attackers. Your hand size is big. You're swinging just what I described with red purple law. I mean, Zoro's doing that with a big hand size. The only downside is that his units are a lot smaller, much more killable via effects and like attacks. But yeah, I mean it's going to be very overwhelming to just face a bunch of 5K swings every turn.
Yeah. But I do think Zoro players are going to have a hard time this set because, like Irrelevant said, this is a really defensive meta. Like this is the blocker meta, right?
Right.
And like aggro is just going to have to work that much harder to be relevant. And Zoro just so happens to be one of the best aggro decks.
And most importantly, I think, he has access to Diable Jambe.
Yes, right. He's the only aggro deck that can do that.
All right, and I think Bia, we had this discussion beforehand, but if you want to take it.
I mean, again, green, purple, Dofi, yeah, his stat line kind of suffers, but he has access to 10-drop Dofi, the film package, and just he's the only leader that can reliably use defensive 2-cost events consistently. So I think, again, in a defensive meta, like we're talking about, like having access to blockers, having access to strong events, and huge late game bodies, green purple Dofi checks all of those boxes, right? And I think we're kind of just taking more of a conservative stance. I could see him being higher on the list,
sure,
but I definitely don't see him being lower on the list.
Yeah, I think, like for me, I know this is a very one-note way to look at this deck, but like the 7-cost Luffy into the Brook into like an Usopp or Nami, like to me that's just such an amazing play. I think even Sakazuki is going to struggle to like deal with a 7K, a 5K, and a 5K spit out on the same turn, right? Like, yeah, like I can see how this deck can definitely climb to the top tables. Again, early game may not be as strong as it was last set, but yeah, I'm curious to see, honestly. I'm just curious to see how this prediction plays
I think
out.
that's the thing that Anonymous and I were sort of like arguing against. We just have not seen him at all.
There's no data. Yeah. There's no data.
And I think a lot of that kind of has to do with like the new toy syndrome, right? Like people want to try
the new
new stuff.
Yep. Sure, but eventually it does go down to like the best. But
yeah,
like,
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I'm curious to see, but because everything you said in a vacuum makes the fact that Dofi has 2 cards available to him every single time to play, and he's effectively a 9K leader a lot of the times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is such a strong ability. It's just one of those things. If someone is able to make it work, if you're able to make it work, he is one of the most annoying decks to play against.
Oh, fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. But at the same time, like, I also want to try some of the new stuff too, so I don't know if I want to die on that hill.
We're just going to forget it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think it's time for the big bets.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting into that S tier.
Yeah.
Let's get into some juicy meat.
I think this set, more than the others, there's a way bigger jump from A to S than there has been.
Yeah,
in a while.
For sure.
And I think personally, we'll start with Anel. New leader, impossible to kill. Impossible to kill. His ability, if he goes to 0 life, he just gains 1 back. So you have to, you cannot. It's actually impossible to just go high and kill him. You can't do that. You have to go wide.
Yep, you need a really big quantity of swings, and even then, like
he has the yellow card like draw and hand advantage.
Right.
So he can't run 10-drop Big Mom, and I think that's probably why he's not like the best deck in the whole game.
Sure.
But Anel, there's a reason he's in those pie charts. He has a solid win rate, not the best, about the worst. But it's just one of those things. If you're a good Anel player, you draw well, it's going to be so hard to beat you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he has El Thor in set 5, right? Is that a set 6 card?
El Thor.
No, it's set 5.
I mean, yellow has a Rad Beam now. And on an already unkillable leader, like Irrelevant described, I mean, that's crazy. 1 cost 4K. Yeah. And I mean, I remember, Mujinator was even pointing out that, like, you don't even, the discard is not a cost. It's like a after effect. Like even if you got
if you have 0 cards, you still heal.
You still heal. You still heal. This is such a hard to kill leader. It's crazy, and just that sheer survivability even gives him a good chance against like some of the best decks like Sakazuki.
Yeah, and that holy combo
crazy
is so good. having, and now that, I mean, you had rush Katakuri, but it was a conditional rush, right? Like, but now you just have a straight up rush boss
unit
monster that can't be removed, right? It's the first card with like, for those of you that played lore, like, spell protection or shroud, right?
Right.
If you want to remove it, you got to be a little bit more creative because it has an innate protection to all forms of removal. All right, so I definitely think NL is going to be one of the big bads of the set, and purely like I've hated yellow up until now, and I just hate it more.
Yeah, even though he doesn't have access to Big Mom, he has access to Yamato, which in this scenario is ultimately like a heal 2. Heal 2.
Yep.
Heal 2.
Crazy.
So, and now, you're going to be seeing a lot of him for sure, and he's very annoying. I think
he's also one of those ones that's like easy to build, right? Like, kids, everybody who plays
built for you.
Yellow already has the build. You have to there's minimal new cards you need.
Right.
Yep,
so, speaking of new decks, which is pretty much built for you already, I think this is a topic of conversation between us and Anonymous.
I honestly just, again, going up, you know me, I'm always cooking with off-meta leaders, and just constantly playing meta leaders on the sim, the one I was most comfortable playing against was Purple Luffy. But like you said, it kind of seems like he does nothing until he just snowballs and just beats you. I mean, his blockers are also his attackers. Like you said, all of his attackers are 6k stat line. I can definitely see the threat. Just for me, the fact that he is taking his life, he's getting hand advantage, but also, life is going down.
That's the thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He gains a life, ramps, but he doesn't care because he has all those blockers.
Right.
And I think we mentioned this. There's no such thing as an off, curve for Luffy, because he doesn't have to play, and he doesn't have to play anything to set himself back into whatever curve he wants to be at. If he goes first at his 3 dawn turn for free, he'll just say, "I'm at 4 dawn now, and I'm gonna do my combos."
Right. Like, even if you were to just quote unquote brick, right, and just have a top heavy hand, you're gonna get to playing those things so much sooner than you would in any other deck.
Yeah, no, and even outside of that, it's like, well, let me fish in my life, see if I have something I want to play. Like, that's the twofold.
It doesn't trash. It doesn't trash. You gain that card.
You just gain that card. Exactly. Like, the twofold benefit from that ability, it can't be underestimated for sure. And it's just like, to me, that's so crazy, because I feel like so far One Piece has kind of been designed around like ramping being an inconvenient effect. Like, there's always like ramp cards are always like, man, I wish I could have played something else right now, but I need to play this in order to ramp that extra dawn. Whereas with Luffy, it's like, bro, like, I'm getting early game hand advantage. I get to fish for more cards that I might want to play, and then I also just get to get ahead in terms of dawn. Like, there's no downside to that ramp early game, in my opinion. Right. And that's so crazy.
And that's just the leader, right? Like, the package that the leader runs is just strong as well. I mean, you're running the best purple cards in the game. The new 5-cost Kid blocker. You have the Rush Kaidos. You have blocker Queens.
Yep.
You have Magellans. So, and like Irrelevant mentioned earlier in the vid, like, your mid game is all 6k swingers. So one, you have that native offense where you can just swing cleanly into Red Purple Luffy or Whitebeard, or you just put 1 dawn and you're swinging magic numbers into a 5k, right? So it's so much board pressure while still being defensive. Like, it's the perfect, like, balanced deck.
Sure. Yeah. Super good deck. I mean, there's a reason, like Irrelevant was saying, that the top tables were just straight up Sakazuki and this guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is going to be a big pick for next set. Now, let's bring in Old But Gold. I hate to see this guy.
Man, first of all, I think we all hate yellow. I fucking loathe it. Like, that color, the deck is just slowly turning into... Every single card has a trigger now.
Trigger, man! Oh my god, bro.
Just load up on triggers and you'll be just fine.
And triggers have 2Ks.
Yes, dude. It's
2K counter.
It's so wild to me.
It's so ridiculous. And let's not forget, he has Big Mom. 10 drop.
He has craziest card in the game.
Big moms.
You know, we tried to record a video before that didn't see the light of day, but all three of us were just
We don't gotta tell
trashing
people that, man.
No, yeah, that's cursed. And that's, bro, Bandai's gonna make sure this video doesn't get up now.
Oh man,
They're hacking into my computer as we speak.
Yeah, point is, all of us made our cases for why 10 cost mom is definitely an overpowered card. Like, you know, and none of us are just scrubs who just are complaining about things that we don't like. Like, we've all been playing this game since day one. We're all mature enough to admit when a card is you know, just good versus actually imbalanced, and like that card's crazy. So I mean, again, NL might be unkillable, but yeah, Big Mom is like partially unkillable because you're adding life to yourself and you're also killing your opponent in a meta of a bunch of 4 life leaders and even a 3 life leader. You know, like that card's just crazy. Katakuri is easily the best matchup into Sakazuki.
Easily. I think that's also why he's up here so high, right?
Exactly.
Literally like 3rd best deck in the game. Yeah. And it's because he does so good into the best deck. And obviously Sakazuki can still beat him.
Sure,
right. But like
100%.
It's just one of those things.
I mean,
Katakuri is just going to be good until he gets hit.
Right.
That's it.
It's just so like, you know, this is one, and I've had so many conversations with like people in our community, and it's like some of the like, you know, people that play competitively and things like that. It's the quickest way that people write you off as like, oh, he's a bum, he's afraid of Big Mom, he's afraid of Katakuri.
Yeah.
And it's just like listen, man, I'm not saying that like I'm afraid of Katakuri. It's just annoying to see it, right? Because it's a casino deck. Like most of the top players don't like playing decks that you kind of have to just high roll on.
Yeah.
You want to play what's consistent, right?
Right.
But everybody else that isn't as confident in their skill or management, they're going to play what they think is just powerful, right? So if a lot of people are playing Katakuri, you're going to hit into scenarios more often where they're high rolling their life. They're hitting you with back-to-back 10 drops. You know, like that's just going to happen. Yep. And as a player that's not playing those decks, that's frustrating, and it's okay to be frustrated about it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yep.
And don't want to get too off topic here, but like, you know, the sim now has.
I get heated.
No. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me. Like, I've been playing this thing. I'm talking.
Bring that 30-minute video back, man. We gotta dig it out of the archives.
But yeah, I've been playing this thing in OP6, and it's literally in OP6 gotten to a point where all 5 of those life can be triggers, and it's not even
100%.
inconsistent.
That's the thing, right?
It's absurd.
It's just absurd. Going to get worse and more consistent.
Exactly.
It's a pain. But this is not a Katakuri video. Again, let us know if you want to see that. I will head that train for sure.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
doubt. Fuck Katakuri. Anyway.
Red, purple,
now,
Luffy.
Speaking of like, we talked about this guy, Whitebeard, a lot.
Drooling.
We talked about Whitebeard. The changes that happened here affect this deck.
A lot.
It's
crazy.
Go.
Bro, like seriously, like I'll be honest, and we were talking about this yesterday. I was not excited for set 5 at all. It was more like a necessary evil, right? Like, I just got to play this set because I'm going to Nats, right? Or we're all going to Nats. But I was like, please, just let me skip to set 6. Once the ban list got lifted, I was salivating. I was like, please give me set 5 right now, like expeditiously. I need it right now today. It's not even like a question, because, I mean, the buff to red purple Luffy is absolutely insane. You're getting Nami, which searches all of the new purple straw hats, all of the old red straw hats. You have Rad Beam, which I don't understand.
That is a little ridiculous. The fact that they came back.
Like, what should have happened there is, no, let's not level the playing field by removing the ban list. Let's just put the ban list on Japan, because that feels like what's smart here. But they're like, no, let's do this. So I mean, if you're gonna take the chains off us Western players, that's fine. And then you have, you know, freaking, dude, I'm so hyped I lost my train of thought. 9-drop Whitebeard.
Yep.
Good lord. This is the only deck that can do 7-drop into 9-drop and just make your leader a natural 9K for the turn. Bro, like, what do you do? But like, imagine you're Zoro, you have like 10 buggies on your board, and you're like, bro, I don't have enough Dawn. You're counting from your pinkies. You're like, how do I play this game?
No,
that's
he is going to be I think he, especially in the West, we love our red, as we said multiple times. I think he's gonna be so highly represented.
Oh,
Yep.
for
So
sure.
highly represented. And
you know what? Out of all the ones on this S tier, this is the one I'm kind of like excited about. Like I'm rooting for this. Like I want to see this deck do well because
Right.
yeah, it's so interesting. Like
Mhm.
and again, 3 life leader with radical beam is absurd. Like this guy has all the tools he needs now.
You're using radical beam from turn 2 onward.
Exactly.
yeah, that's crazy.
It's
He's
crazy.
already at 3.
Crazy.
It's already up there, and then you forget about and then you have the new stuff coming out. You have the new blocker kid. You have the new Zoro, which is it's not even Dawn 1 when attack. It's just attack. Just swing 4. You don't have to hit anything. You get an active Dawn. Right?
Dang.
You ramp an active Dawn.
Is it
And then
active?
you also, yeah, it's active. You ramp
Oh
active.
wow.
Wild. That is I did not know that.
Yeah. And then you also have the big bad himself, 10 drop Gear 5 Luffy, right? Like this
Yeah.
deck is just stacked.
Yeah, this deck
right?
is crazy, man. It's crazy. And
No.
now, after this ban list, I was very set. I'm like, I'm just gonna play Cat. I don't want to play OP5. I'm just gonna play Cat, go to Nats, get it over with.
100%.
We'll play OP6 and like figure it out from there. Now what do you play? Like, there's a lot of good options now.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a second 6K leader you got to worry about.
Yeah.
It's not just Whitebeard anymore.
And
But-
it's like again, a 9K leader sometimes.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
But speaking of all this talk of how amazing he's gonna be, I think all of us can say he's still not better than him,
Yeah.
Just get him off of there. I don't want to see him.
man.
Whew.
I think first of all, if you've been playing this game, if you're watching this video, chances are you already know what this guy is, who this guy is, what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 extremely strong abilities for free. No Dawn
that's
attached.
No Dawn
ridiculous.
required. That's the part that baffles me, man. How did they do that?
That
They-
grinds my gears.
Yeah, they put a cost minusing ability on probably objectively the best color combination leader in the game.
Mhm.
Like blue black with an inherent cost minus that doesn't cost Dawn is insane. And then also
Cycle,
just
man.
cycle, yeah. Trash 1, draw 1, and the trash isn't even it's not even like a freaking cost necessarily because you're fishing stuff out of that trash all the time with the freaking blocker Rebecca.
Right?
Like
True.
the package that they gave this guy is so efficient, so insanely good. He is just constantly undoing your turns while building his own board. Just
Mhm.
whatever you put on board, he can reliably just heat it to the bottom of your deck and put something on his board.
He is.
And
He. Sorry to cut you off at that.
No, I'm done. That's crazy. Bro.
He's
Like,
he's the last set's Croc, Blue Croc, on steroids.
on steroid. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
That's like, and that too. You said the color combination having this efficient of a leader ability or leader abilities
Yeah.
is such a problem because
Yeah.
I mean Mihawk can get rid of pretty much anything while developing a 9K. And then the biggest problem, we mentioned him before, is Lucci, man. Like him costing 4, you have 6 Dawn, which can very easily bring 2 big cards within range of getting removed.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we have Ice Age, which I mean, by the way, it's hilarious how these like common, ugly-looking cards from the freaking Navy starter deck are now like $10 cards or something. But yeah, we have a 1 Dawn event. I mean, we run brand new in this deck, who searches everything Navy. We have a crap ton of good Navy events. Ice Age is minusing something by 5, bro. Like and
One
then
cost,
plus your
right?
one cost minus something by 5. Your leader ability just naturally no Dawn required minuses it by 6.
Yep.
You know that means that we can legit get rid of an 8 cost casually with 1 Dawn and just 1 Dawn and a Lucy. Like 5 Dawn, you can get rid of an 8 cost unit. I mean that's insane, dude. And get rid of a chump blocker alongside it. Like
Let's not forget that he also has access to Hound Blaze and Rebecca Blocker.
yeah,
Yes.
Hound Blaze has no business existing.
It's
2
crazy. I
cost-
can't believe that card was printed.
Dude, exactly.
2 Dawn is crazy for all the stuff it does.
Yeah, 2 Dawn, remove a 2 cost, all right? Bottom deck it, and then also buff something by 3K.
3K.
Like, why does
Crazy.
that exist, man?
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Flame Emperor. But Flame Emperor cost how much? Irrelevant.
7.
Exactly.
And
it's leader locked.
Sure, but to be fair, no other deck pretty much can run that card because Sakazuki is the only deck that also minuses cost.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's fair. But it's 7-2. You know, like it's crazy.
Yeah. No, that is, and there's another card in the game. I forget whether it's Meteor Volcano or what, but there's a 2-cost KO, a 1-cost, and it might have some side effect as well. But it's nothing like.
I don't think they run that card actually. I think they run.
No, they don't.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. Oh, you're using it as a comparison. Got it.
I'm using it as a comparison.
Got it.
I've seen very little power creep in One Piece, like coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, like which is just power creep city. Like I've seen very relatively little power creep in One Piece, but Hound Blaze is just straight power creep. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's blatant.
No, this deck is wild, man. I mean, we we're kind of beating a dead horse, I know, at this point, but my goodness, just so efficient against literally everything in the game.
Sakazuki's the reason I wasn't looking forward to this set.
Exactly.
100%, man. 100%.
Yep. No, I mean, as someone who's always, like, again, kind of cooked with off-meta leaders, or at the very least, like, played Law since set 1, like, this is the first set where I kind of feel like...
This is the hardest set to be off-meta.
Exactly. I'm like, if you can't beat him, join him. At this point, I actually just need to just play.
Especially since you're going to, like, Nats, you kind of have... You have no...
You gotta play the best deck. You gotta play the best deck.
It just is what it is. Yeah, I mean, do you guys have any other closing comments? We wrapping this up here?
Yeah, I think we... good summary. Like, now, after these bans, I'm actually excited to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you guys cook up with that red purple Luffy, and I do want to see how well he does here in the West, because I know he's very little represented in Japan.
Yeah.
I want to see if the hype, the Newgate hype, kind of transfers over to RP Luffy.
I hope so, man. He's the savior in the darkness.
No, man, he's gonna be strong. Add on to the fact, the hype, like you said, like Newgate is $100 a piece right now. People want to play it.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right, so
he's the only deck that runs Gear 5, and that's such a cool card.
Yeah, that card's sick. It's so weird mechanically, like.
Right.
Yeah. But I guess we're wrapping up here. That is pretty much our summary. These are, again, some of the, for the most part, this is pretty objective, but some of these are predictions. I do want to see where Red Purple Luffy ends up, where Grape Dofi ends up. Even Red Purple Law. I'm curious if he's if he's gonna go up or down. But we have to wait it out and see. Keep watching the channel, guys. We are going to be posting deck lists for all of these leaders as we go into the set 5 meta. Crossing our fingers, hoping we can actually get our hands on some freaking products.
Yeah,
right.
But if you want to play these decks, keep your eyes on the channel. We'll be showing you guys exactly how to go to Nats playing these leaders. All right, take it easy. We'll see you in the next video.
Peace.